This is Nina Lockwood. Welcome to Get Your Happy Back. Stories and insights that will inspire you to find new sources of happiness in your own life. Hello and welcome to Get Your Happy Back. And yay, I have Anna Morris again.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So some of you may have already seen an earlier podcast that Anna and I did. And now it's my turn to be the hostess for you.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so much. We've already been.
I mean, we could just, yeah.
Yeah.
We can really talk.
We can. So I'm just going to give a thumbnail because sketch of what you're doing, and you can fill in the blanks
Sure.
if you feel the need to. But you're a life coach. You're so many things. You're a multi-talented woman extraordinaire.
Multi-hyphenated now. There's a term for it.
Yes, that's right. Multi-potentialite is another one.
There you go. Okay, I love it.
And you're a journal. You teach journaling. You
I do.
also have a business with houses and interior design. So
Yeah.
I don't know what else. There's probably many more things.
Oh,
So you're a mother of two.
I have two kids. That's right. Both who refuse to sleep. And I have a brownie truffle business with my mom, and I don't think we've ever talked about that.
Oh
But it's not,
no.
we're on hiatus because it's really only 6 months because people don't buy chocolate in the summer.
Because it melts.
It melts. That's right. That's right.
Wow.
So
you are also a yoga instructor, is that right?
yeah, yoga and meditation teacher at Kripalu. I did my training at Kripalu, not far from here.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so pretty.
So one of the things that we talked about a little bit was that when we first met, and I should make this discreet, one of the elements that you mentioned in our conversation was how important it was to be grounded in the body. And I was thinking, that is a sort of a side door into happiness or out of it. If we're not in our bodies, we're up in our head all the time.
Sure.
So I really wanted to ask you to share some thoughts about the importance of being grounded in our bodies.
Yeah. Well, and I love that because had I heard that when I started my own personal development work, I would be like, what are you actually talking about, Nina? Like, what does grounded in my body mean? Because I was so out of my body that didn't mean anything. So let me just explain back
great.
to the version of me listening that would not get what you're saying, right? But that was, 17 years ago. So I just want to say that if you are listening, you're like, what in the heck is she talking about? This is for you. When I first came to personal development work, it was through Landmark Education. And it was a 3-day class, not dissimilar to like a Tony Robbins experience or something like that, but like without the pyrotechnics or whatever. I think there's like, we're no walking on coals. It was not sexy. It was not expensive, right? It was like $500, 3 days, like kind of tear apart your life and how you thought about it and put it all back together in a way that could actually work for you, right? But it's very analytical and much more like formulaic, right? So I remember that I first did it in 2008, and I was also going to talk therapy at the same time, right? So I had this great therapist on the Upper West Side who, not long after I did Landmark, said, you don't need to come to therapy anymore. You actually got what you were looking for. You have now learned how to coach yourself, which is what I teach in my journaling programs. I have one. It makes it sound fancy. I have one program.
Well, you've run it several times. So
I do. Well, no, I actually just changed it. So people can do it anytime they want.
Oh, nice.
You always get office hours with me. So it's really on anybody's, because I can't stand launching. I just don't. It's too much. So I'm constantly journaling about like, what do I not like in my life? How could I do it differently? Right. So that's like very brainstormy, cerebral, everything. And that was great. And it was really necessary for me on my path because I was such a good student, such a high achiever, right? Like I was in sales in Manhattan, the top of my industry. And so that all made sense to my brain. And that's really the only thing I had worked with. Now, prior to any of this, I had been a competitive swimmer, right? And then after that, I just really kind of let that go. And then, started running around the reservoir when I went through like a period of depression. I knew that like endorphins would help me to quote unquote feel better, right? I think it was more like the cute guys running around the reservoir that I was trying to pick up, but I digress.
Right.
And it wasn't until I think somebody that I met in Landmark actually invited me to go to a yoga class and I'd been in and out of yoga for years and hated it, just absolutely abhorred it. Thought it was the stupidest waste of time. Why would I stand here and breathe? Of course I'm breathing, right? Like that's where I was wired, right? So this is not how I came into the world. Like I have had to learn all of, what I teach now. That's why I'm like, it's possible for anyone. And I went to a class, and at the time, I think it was even at what is it, New York Sports Club, right? I think it was even one of those, and it was a very athletic class, which is not the style of yoga that appeals to me now, 17 years later. However, at the time, it met me where I was, which was I was wanting to like get a workout, but then I noticed that there was the same language that I had been hearing in a classroom in Landmark. And in Landmark, if you've ever done that, you cannot take notes, which I think is brilliant, right? Because I would have been like taking notes, never reading them. So for me, it started to combine what I was hearing and agreeing with and thinking like, yeah, this is so brilliant. Like this is the way I think life is. I think I could use these tools to make my life feel more like mine. I don't want to say better because I didn't really have a bad life. I just had a life that felt like somebody else's, right?
Such a common problem.
Right. And it was like, I knew I had like the resume that should make me happy, but it didn't. And so I was really having to go to work on the question of like, well, what makes me happy? And that wasn't something that had ever been asked of me before. Because I'd come from such a just achieve family and culture. And I was really good at it. And I loved the praise. And so I was like hooked on the praise, hooked on the achievement, right? So there I was hearing for the first time this language, but while I was doing a physical activity.
So give me an example of what the language was that you were resonating with.
Great question. I'm pretty sure it was Marco Rojas, who I adore and is still a teacher and quite controversial because he'll really get like, he would get political on the mat. He would talk about, I was in pharmaceutical sales. He would go down that rabbit hole. Sometimes like people hated him. And I think I don't know that it was the actual things that he was saying, but I felt like he was modeling that he was being who he was without an apology.
So did you find, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry.
Without looking for my agreement or acceptance. And that was very, very against anything that I'd ever lived, seen. I mean, I saw it. I'd seen it, in my own family, but it hadn't gone well, right? Like people wouldn't, so for me, I was really attracted to how he was doing life the way he wanted to do life. And it was specifically, I remember like a forward fold. So my legs are, just to give you a visual, I'm sitting with my legs out, my toes are up, right? I'm sitting on my bottom and you're folding over. That's a, sitting fold over. There's a fancy word for it in Sanskrit.
It's all right. We don't need this grand Sanskrit.
Can't do it. Was never good at that in yoga at school. So I'm folding over and he is laying on top of me. Right. It was, I don't know if you can do that anymore after COVID, but at the time, this was like 2009.
Or the Me Too movement.
Yeah, or the Me Too movement. I know. I was like, I loved it, but It was not sexual, which I actually really needed that experience too. Um, and I remember saying like, I can't, right? Like I was gripping.
Mm,
And I remember him saying in my ear, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm always with you. And
wow.
it was not him. It was my first real experience with God.
Wow.
And so I started to notice that when something would not feel aligned for me, like I was gripping, I could start to pay attention to my shoulders, like up in my ears, like could I just relax them down? And that's a really simple thing in yoga, right? You're just standing in mountain pose, which if you don't do yoga, that's just you standing there. So it's not fancy or complicated. Everyone does it all day long. We call it mountain pose. And I can remember a teacher just walking over and just putting her hands on my shoulders and just, and it was like that inhale and that exhale. And really it became about just the letting go, the
Mm.
letting go, the letting go. And that I could find always. I mean, I still find it, you know, I journal, which is great and I love it. And then I go for a walk.
Mhm.
Like it's about putting it in, it's almost like now you have to go and program that in you. And when
Mhm.
I'm walking, I don't listen to anything. I pay attention to the birds. I talk to my dogs. I tell them how proud I am of them and how much I love being with them, right? Just like you would kids. Because sometimes we're really yelling at them the opposite, right? As they're like
The
eating the
kids or the dogs?
both. But they're like, you know, getting yelled at because like Barney once again has eaten the trash and, you know, Duke, he doesn't ever really do anything, but he barks a lot. So anyway, I like to balance out the evening yelling with like the morning kindness.
If you just wait till tomorrow morning, you'll feel great.
You'll feel better. So anyway, but it's on those walks that I take what I've written in my journal and kind of play around with like, do I want to do anything with that? Like, is that like I wrote about all this stuff. Is there an action I'm going to take? Is there, you know, I like to have my phone by the back door when I walk in so that I can immediately jot down whatever there is that I'm now going to do. And sometimes there is and sometimes there isn't, right? You need to ruminate on it a little while longer, give yourself some grace. But I think without that, you're just still not living
It's
in,
not going down into your
it's
body.
not going down in, but there's a bigger thing at play. It's not actually in alignment with the universe yet.
Oh, that's an interesting way of putting it.
I know I just made it up. It feels right though. Feels like yeah. Again, I
So you
also,
have to explain why it feels right.
yeah, well, because I coach intuitively. And so for a long time, I wouldn't coach because I was like, well, it's so much preparation and da 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 da. And then I realized like I would never prepare a yoga class. I shouldn't say that. I always prepared it at first. And then every time I would watch people come into a class, I'm like, oh, I can see what she needs. And I have a feeling of what he needs, you know,
Yeah.
like I just knew. And I think
Tracking the energy.
very instinctive. It's why I love dogs so much, right? Like I'm always kind of watching them and I'm like, he's not okay. Like, do not pet this dog. Something's going on over there with him. Just, you know, because my kids are always very eager to pet all animals. So I've been teaching them about like paying attention,
Hmm.
reading people,
Yeah.
reading dogs, being sensitive to where somebody is or is not. Um, and so I think that the more I live my life from that place, it just feels like an exhale. It
Yeah.
just is so relaxing.
So if you can, I'm going to slide this into our conversation. What would you say is the difference in your experience of getting information just in your head and
Mm,
being able to integrate it
mm,
fully into your body? because,
Mhm.
you know, most people are like those stick figures with the big head and the
Mhm.
little arms and legs because
Mhm.
we're always up in our head, and which, you know, energetically, that's not such a good thing. It can lead to headaches and
Yeah.
migraines and all sorts of problems up there until we
Yeah.
get the information and the energy into our bodies, or
Yeah.
aligned. Maybe that's the same thing, aligned with the universe,
Yeah.
everything.
Well, I think that the answer is different for everyone, number one, but also different at different times in your life, right? Like my answer right today is different than it was, a few years
Oh,
ago.
sure. Of course.
But I will say the easiest way for me to teach it, like if you were asking me to like coach somebody through that question, which I think you are. Is that right?
Sure.
We'll do
I'm
it.
I'm asking you to coach our listeners.
Yeah, I'm going to coach you through that. And you're going to have a journal because you're going to journal about it. And surprise, surprise, right? Is I always look back at the earliest, at the beginning. We
How far
all
back are you going?
as early as you remember, as early,
Okay. You're not talking
right?
about previous lifetimes.
No, no, oh, no. I mean, that's fun too, but no, I'm not as much in that, although I have done that. It's great. Um, but for me, I look at like, well, what did I do as a kid that made me feel like the feeling I'm wanting, right? My feeling is always freedom. I'm really looking for nothing
Yep.
else.
Yep.
There's no other word. I could get fancy with it. I can say relax. It's freedom. It is
Yep.
always freedom for me. What is it for you?
Yeah.
Freedom. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Inner freedom, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Freedom. Like
Right.
I just like the wind in my hair. Okay. So when I look back at childhood, and this is what I want everybody listening to do, you don't have to do it right now. Keep listening to this. You can do it later. But then you're going to grab a journal or a piece of paper and you're going to journal about those core childhood memories when you felt free.
Mm.
And for me, I grew up 2 blocks from Lake Superior. So it's laughable now that people love cold plunging, right? Because I was like, it was just the water, not cold. It's frigid, right? I've been in it as an adult now and it's like, whoa. But like floating in water is always something that I recommend for clients
Mm.
because it can remind our bodies that we are held.
Oh, that's great.
So floating is probably my number one. But again, I mean, if you've had a drowning experience, you're not going to be somebody that's listening to this podcast and saying, like, yeah, I'm going to go float. You're not going to do that, right? Maybe for you, it's like just standing with your feet on the ground or laying your body in grass
Right. Earthing.
or earthing. Yeah. Or like, I have a client that, like, she just lays on the ground. It's not complicated. It's not even outside, it's in her house, not on a yoga mat, not on a bed, not on a sofa, like on the ground, right? So I always like to go back to what was I doing in my childhood where I felt free. I was always planning dance routines. I was always riding my bike. So when I wanted to stop being so grown up and so significant and so like my life was feeling really heavy and burdened, I bought a ridiculous seafoam green bike. It's got a basket and it's got a bell that lights up.
That's
I
great.
mean, it all but has the streamers on the handles, right? And I don't even ride it. I only really ride it when we go camping, but it's in my garage, turned towards the door, ready to be ridden out. And just that alone delights me. And it is a shift in my body. I think every
Yeah.
time I see it, because, I'll get in the car because I'm driving further than I want to bike or it's really hot outside. But just knowing that it's almost just like a remembrance
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to have it, to feel free, to have it be fun, to have the wind in my hair, to notice the wind in my hair.
Yeah.
So I think that whatever those answers are for your listeners is what the body work is to what the body needs, right? So like for me, I grew up, my mom swam 2 miles the day before I was born.
Oh my gosh. She really wanted you to come visit her, didn't she?
Well, yeah, I think she just was I mean, she's like hyper high achiever, like hyper focused, and that's just what she did. So that's just what she did. And then like, several months old, she would like just kind of prop me up in a car seat. I have no idea. This was the 80s. When and like pull buoys all around me and told the lifeguards to like keep an eye on me. Like and would go do her laps, right? So like being around water, even if it's not, even if it's like a swimming pool where you're doing laps, that feels really good to me.
Yeah.
Uh,
There's something that I'm really enjoying about what you're saying about how important it is to be in our bodies and know we're we're in our bodies.
yeah.
And we've been talking back and forth about journaling and art journaling. And this morning I was doing some art journaling, as I'd mentioned to you. And then I felt like half the job was done, but I needed to get it more into my body. So I
Mm,
was actually doing my own version of grounding, whether it was standing or sometimes pushing, doing push hands,
yeah.
or um, doing where you're stomping on the ground, where you're pushing everything that is chaotic down out
Mhm,
of your
mhm,
body.
mhm.
And how I was thinking, yeah, Anna's really got something here that you have to, when you're learning something, it has to go below your neck.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I mean, I think we all took like that health class where they like explain the birds and the bees, right?
Most of us, if we can still remember.
Maybe. I mean, grew up in the Bible Belt, so I don't even know that they had it. Because it was just like, don't do it. It's terrible. It's highest teen pregnancy rate in the country, by the way. Um, but then you have sex and you're like, oh, that's not what I thought that was going to be like, right? I don't think anybody is like, yeah, that was it. That was exactly like no one said
Total surprise.
100% first timers, right? Having sex are like, what? That's not. And so it's like that. It's like you can't explain what floating is if you've never floated.
Yeah.
You can't explain what joy there is riding a bike if you've never ridden one.
Or eating a strawberry.
Right. Like it's inexplicable.
Hmm.
And so like, I mean, I have a friend and he's won like an Olympic gold medal. Like, I'll never know what that feeling is like to stand on the podium and like have the, the United States, I don't, the anthem, I don't even, I'm like losing
Star
words now.
Spangled Banner.
Yeah, there you go. That song, the song, like,
Yeah.
the US song, like, um, I'll never know what that's like. And so it's about embodying. And I don't love that word because I think it's really overused and it can
Yeah.
feel when I think back to like the 17-year younger version of myself that felt like, what are you talking about? Right. So you have to really start where you are.
Yeah.
You have to really start where you are. And that's different for everybody. Right. Like there's this word somatic and I hear it all the time. And I'm like,
Right.
so unavailable to most of the people that I work with who are just picking up a journal for the first time, you know? And so I'm really careful. And I can remember that being an obstacle in yoga where it was like a bunch of Sanskrit words. And I was like, can you just tell me, am I folding forward? Like, is that what we're doing here? Am I standing here with my arms, my fingers down? Oh, mountain pose. Okay. But then it's like, I can handle mountain pose, but now you're speaking another language and I don't feel like I'm going to get it. And so our brains will then shut down.
Yeah.
And so I think the biggest thing is that you've got to be able to click in to where your brain is still available to participate in what you're doing. You make it so significant, fancy, complicated, you won't do it. You just won't do it.
Right.
And I think longevity is really the key to anything. It's I think why I've been journaling for so long. It's effective, it's easy. I can do it anywhere. I, worked with a coach for 6 months, so I know how to do it in a specific way that's very, very effective and
Mm-hmm.
valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have other tools that resonate at different periods in my life.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. I'm going to take a little bit of a left turn
Oh, I
because
love
I
trans.
wondered if you would talk a little bit about having an inner GPS.
Mm,
And the reason I'm bringing that up is because, as you mentioned earlier, and probably 9 people out of 10 who would listen to this conversation have been in the same boat where we've been conditioned to do something that we've been told will bring us success and happiness. But it's not ours. It's somebody else's opinion that we have taken on. This,
mhm,
I know for me, I was thought I was going to have an art career and I was talked out of it. Oh, you'll never make any money, blah, 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 blah. So I did a 180-degree turn for a while before I came back to it. But I think once we realize we either give ourselves permission or we recognize, no, wait a minute, this doesn't feel like me.
mhm,
And then, as you're saying, being intuitive and being able to ask yourself, well, what does feel like me?
mhm, mhm.
So talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think it's why journaling for me it's just saved my life.
Mhm.
And it continues to every single day
Because,
because I'm just always a work in progress.
Mhm.
And we spoke before we started recording, like, there are still things that I don't want to write about.
Me
And,
too.
and when I do, I am met with um, my inner GPS does know. And what I love about writing it down is I always call it my true self, which is my inner GPS, and my false self, which is my ego and achieving
Right.
accolades version. Um, is I give my ego a place to be. I don't shut her up. And I think in the personal development world of frustration that I always have, and I think you see this with like toxic positivity and gratitude journaling, which I think is bullshit. Like, write it for sure, but like 5 minutes of what you're grateful for when you actually feel like shit, I just don't. Like, write the shit, guys. And that's why I teach journaling for 45 minutes, because I think that what never works, I'm just going to bring this into like a little bit of child parenting thing, is telling your kids to be quiet as you're yelling at them, right? Come on,
Because
right?
you're practicing what you're preaching,
It's
right?
like, what, like, my husband was doing it this morning. I was like, is this for real? And he was like, well, you tell me what to do. And I was like, make it fun. All they want to do is play with you. And he was like, how would I do that? And I was like, have them do he was like, I just need to get out the door. And I was like, have them do your hair. And he was like, what? It will look terrible. I was like, fix it later. I was like, have them brush your teeth. He was like, are you serious? I'm like, yes. That's how, when I'm with the kids, we're having a good time, because I'm always making it fun. And anytime it's not going well, it's because I'm not making it fun. I'm not engaging with them where they are.
Yeah.
So, my point in all of that is that if you don't give your worries, your frustrations, your concerns a place to be, they will wreak havoc on your life, and they will make you sick and kill you.
And also
Period.
block that inner GPS from being
That's right.
accessible.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, the way that I'm able to have an inner GPS is because I've given my non GPS self a place to be every day. You can be here and you can write all your worries and concerns. But what I have found in almost 2 decades of doing this and teaching this to thousands of people is that it can't go for 45 minutes. You can't write that long, that scared. Something happens. an inner GPS clicks in and is like, I'm with you. I'm always with you.
Yeah.
You're always alone and you're never alone. And that's why I love watching people have that experience. It can take a few weeks sometimes, which is why I teach a 6-week course to really like go
Right.
through the experience. And I always want people to quit. I'm like, oh, you've quit journaling? Great. That's why it's 6 weeks, so that like you have a coach to come back to. And it's so imperative that we exhaust that part of us that is so worried, that is so anxious, right? And we get her fatigued,
That's a good way of putting it.
get her tired. And it's only when you keep writing this bullshit about your lover or your mother or your kids or your boss or your money or your weight or
Or
whatever,
yourself.
or yourself, right? Is that's it? Because you're bitching about all the other people, and then you're like, well, wait a minute, where
Right.
am I doing? And I can always go back when somebody is like, well, I used to journal, but I don't anymore. I'm like, read your last journal entry. And they're like, why? This is a spoiler alert, but I'm fine with it. They didn't write something that they didn't like. They wrote something that they didn't like.
Oh, just like making
100%
art.
of the time. You wrote something that you didn't want to look at. And then you say, there's no time to journal.
Of course. It's a perfect excuse.
I mean, so I was somebody, this was even before 2008. I hated journaling, and I didn't just hate journaling. I thought people that journaled were also stupid. All of it. I just was like, you're all, that's always how I do things. Whatever I think is the dumbest is my next thing that I'm probably going to do. Right.
So it's either going to scare you or be so dumb that
Right. Right. I'm just totally above it. Just like yoga.
got it.
I was like, oh, my sister does yoga. Like, she doesn't know anything. It's just like, just a,
Right.
bunch of garbage.
Because
So
it's not
anyway,
a high achievement activity.
that's right. That's right. That's right. And journaling wasn't either. So,
Right.
so anyway, I can remember finding a journal. I was breaking up. It was in the middle of a breakup with my boyfriend, who I very much wanted to marry and be with. And no, I wanted to be married. I didn't want to marry him.
That's a pretty important distinction.
Yeah, because somebody asked me, what would you do if he proposed? And I broke out in hives.
I thought you were going to say run screaming.
Yeah. And I was like, I think I should pay attention to that. It was around the time that like I started kind of waking up, right? Um, but I found a journal when we were kind of moving out. And I had written it after our first date, 5 years before that. And I said, I'm afraid that he will never give me what I need emotionally, that he'll never be emotionally available enough to the point where I need him to be. And that was exactly why we broke up. And I
Isn't it interesting? Excuse
5 years,
me.
because guess what? I didn't want to look at that. What I wanted to be was not alone.
Right.
Mhm.
It's all about self-awareness
It is.
and the fact that it's actually a safe thing to do, even though initially it feels like, oh, I can't admit that or I can't acknowledge that. But as soon as you do, it goes back to, from in my experience, it goes back to what you're talking about is freedom. It's like, okay,
It's always freedom.
on the table,
Yeah.
and now I can hear that inner GPS, whatever
Yeah.
we call it, our inner wisdom, our
Yeah. Yeah.
intuition. But how could we otherwise if all these things are roiling around in our heads and
Yeah. Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
in our way of seeing the truth of our experience?
Yeah. I mean, this was very recent. Only 2 days ago, I wrote something about something that I have not wanted to write about, but I wasn't consciously not writing about it. It just wasn't coming up until it got so hard. We're in the process of buying a house, and every single thing kept not working. And Derek and I went to sleep at night, not speaking to each other. I don't know when he went to bed. We didn't give each other a goodnight kiss. And then in the morning, same. And it was like two strangers living
Mm.
in the same room together. And that's never how we've operated, right? And I had a family that operated that way. So I'm really familiar with it, and I can do it till the cows come home. Like, I'm so wired for it.
Yeah. Well trained.
Yeah. And it's in the familiarity of it that my radar went off.
Mm.
Right. I was like, this feels good. This feels like a warm blanket suffocating me. And I was like, what if we didn't buy that house? I just wrote that. And I was like, I would feel so relieved, was the next thing I wrote. And then I just kept pulling the thread. And I shocked the hell out of my husband, right? Like, he never saw that coming. And it's been 48 hours and we are like newlyweds.
Mm.
And so excited to be, and so excited for what we're doing instead. I mean, it was like this, like the cloud lifted. And by the way, I created the cloud. And then the cloud went away because I just stopped doing what was so hard.
Yeah. Brilliant. As they say, the truth shall set you free.
Yeah, it really is. It's so cliche and it's accurate, right? It's
That's
just
probably
like,
why we ignore it.
yeah, yeah.
We've heard it too many times.
Yeah, but it really does. And that's always what I'm writing, like, what's the truth I won't tell right now?
Mm.
What's the truth I don't want to say?
Yeah. Well, as we should do episodes.
Do we have a show together? Because we need to
That
talk.
would be
I have
great.
like a whole new podcast series idea given the house conversation that we had.
I know it.
Yeah.
So as we wind down, I'd
Mhm.
love you to do a couple of things. One is leave us with a few more words of wisdom,
Mhm.
and then let the listeners or watchers know how they can find you and where you are.
Um, so I think that what I would love for everybody to know is that where you are is the right place to be.
Mm.
If you're listening to this and you're like, that feels so far away, where you are is the right place to be.
It's the only place you could be.
It's the only place you could be, yeah. And the only real problem that you'll ever have is your resistance. So anything that's not working in your life, you can just look at it through the lens of like, what am I resisting?
Yeah.
What am I resisting?
Brilliant.
And journaling, it's what, I don't know when this is being published, but at the time we're recording it during Amazon Prime days, you could probably get a journal for $5 and a pen you can find around the house. Although I don't recommend it. I recommend getting a nice pen. So do what you will with that. I think it makes a difference. And I know as an artist, you would agree, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just the smallest investment you can make in yourself. My course is only $500 and people have access to me every single week. I have live office hours forever. So every Tuesday I coach. I have a real estate investing company. I'm, going into real estate sales. I'm a designer as well. I'm a mom. I have a brownie truffle business. And on Tuesdays, there is coaching because for me, it makes me feel like I'm floating in the water and I'm being held. And I always know the right thing to say and the right clients come to me. And I just do it that one day and it feels so great. But with my office hours, they can come every single week forever.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So, because I know with journaling, you will always quit. It just always happens, right?
Yeah.
Like I mostly don't. But I have gone through periods of like less journaling, and it's always nice to be able to check back in with somebody.
Absolutely.
And I
So
love
on that note, though,
knowing
how
the
do we
prompt.
find you?
Yeah. AnnaKMorris.com. So it's ANNAKMorris.com. And the journaling class, you can literally sign up anytime because I'm changing on my website today. I need to do that when we get off. Because I think that like having to start with a group can feel really hard, and I just give access right away. It's, 6 modules and some bonuses. I don't love classes that are overwhelming. So if
No,
you're,
they don't work.
they don't, it doesn't feel good. It's like 6, I think the videos are like 10 to 12 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's me, the course is called Journal Your Guts Out. So I help hold a safe container for you to tell the truth, because it doesn't happen right away. A lot of times in the beginning, you're just writing a grocery list, you're just
Right.
writing complaints about your neighbor or whatever.
Right. Right.
And so it can take some time to get to the gutsy part. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's how people can find me.
Great. And you're on the
So
usual social media
Anna K.
platform?
Morse, same for it all.
Yep. I'll put that on the
Okay,
liner notes.
great.
Always fun.
Thanks for having me. This was
Always insightful. We'll do it again.
Yes, we will. Thank you. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Yes. And those of you who are watching or listening, thank you again. And we will see you on the next episode, whether you're journaling, making art, or just making sure you're having fun and being happy. So bye for now.